let's go ahead and get into the game, though. Antigua Shipyard will start us off. In the bottom left-hand position, we have the red Protoss Liquid Nony. In the top right-hand position, we have the blue Terran.
He's not Zerg.
No,
that's going to throw us off a lot.
It's Ryung.
It's Ryung, one of the North American Smurfs for Ryung. Now, you didn't ask me about my predictions, Andre,
I'm sorry.
so I know you don't care. But I will make a prediction anyways. And I'm going to say Nony wins 2-0, and mainly because of a couple things. Well, first of all, we said how bad Ryung's TVP is. In fact, if we look at his win rate, it's 45%, and he's had, like, 100 games over time. So it's not like, oh, he's only played, like, 50, you know, Protosses. But it's been over time proven that against Protoss he's pretty weak, you know. And another thing is that it's very early in Korea for him. So you know, we've had actually track records of Slayers or sleep schedules. Sometimes they don't wake up on time, so he could be groggy, and that comes into factor for player conditions. So I'm gonna say it's fresh off the morning. You know, maybe Ryung isn't fully warmed up yet. Nony, he's been up for a while and he's been rare to go. That's definitely a possibility. So we'll see. I mean, Ryung. You got to also keep in mind that Ryung is mostly playing against Koreans, not foreigners. That's true. And Thai has a very distinct style. Exactly. And I would say that actually helps out Ryung a little bit more because Nony has gone for more of a conservative style, a positional style that we talked about when he faced off against Dark Force. And if that's so, well, he plays a lot more standard, and Ryung is used to that. He is the, I guess, Terran expert in the Slayer's house. Well, I wouldn't say overall, but he is a Terran expert. He should be able to take out Nony, theoretically. We'll see if that actually happens. Yeah, I mean, Ryung is fantastic TVT. And, actually, it's not just Ryung, but there's, most of the people there are not necessarily that good against Protoss. MMA struggles against Protoss as well. We saw him do a little bit of weaknesses. I'm pretty sure every Terran struggles against Protoss right now. Thank you. How many Protoss are in the GSL? There are 5 in the top 8, so the percentages... I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to complain about that. That's 62.5%, which is a D. So overall, Protoss could step it up a little bit. well, it doesn't even give you a passing degree in college, 62%. Okay. Zergs... We don't even want to. Poor Zergs, man. I felt so bad for MVP and Lena. Oh, sorry, July and Lena, because they had to go against MVP and Hero, which are like 2 players that are fantastic against Zergs. Yeah. So it's like, wow, the only 2 Zergs put in the same group against some of the best VZ players. But yeah, Ryung's not that good against Protoss, but he's doing a pretty solid build. We were talking earlier about every Terran loves doing a gasless fast expand of some sort on Antigua Shipyards against Protoss. Maru does this in GSL. He did like 3 times. And, I like that Tyler also is going for a fast Nexus, and that's kind of what Antigua Shipyard calls for. I think it's one of the stronger builds on Antigua Shipyard just because you can defend against any incoming all-in. It's sort of similar to Shakur's Plateau in that you have that nice ramp, you can wall off. I should go the Terran's way. You can wall off over here with a lot of bunkers. The only difference is you have a little bit more room. And with that little bit more room, it could be a little bit harder to defend just because you have to get your SCVs all the way over there and make sure that you can repair in time in case any, 2-base all-in comes. But just a little thing to note, it makes it a little bit easier than other maps, let's say Metalopolis or Tal'Darim Altar, to actually take a super fast expansion. Yeah, and actually on this map specifically is the map where, Parting was defeating a lot of Terrans. With that fast 3 Nexus kind of style, if you play super macro on Antigua Shipyards, it's much easier to defend your bases compared to other maps, like you were saying, Metalopolis, where some you might get stretched pretty thin. We do see that Ryung's also transitioning very normally to 3 racks. No doubt going to get stim really quickly, and he does. I like this Marine on the top over here at the 3rd. Just checks out for additional units. He might actually be in range. Nope, he's not in range yet. Looks like Nony will wait for another group of units, and here we go. The Marines will, or the 1 Marine, 2 Marines will spot this out, and we'll see how fast SCVs will be pulled. There they go. Guardian Shield needs to be applied. Yeah, waiting for the very last moment. And the SCVs now starting to take it a little bit more seriously, but Nony's targeting down some of the SCVs with his Stalkers as well. Will the bunker drop? Don't think so, actually. No. Oh my god, it was so close to dropping. If he just targeted down with his Stalkers, he would be in a great position, but unfortunately for Nony, that bunker still lives, and with that, Ryung knows he's way, I shouldn't say way ahead, but he is slightly ahead. His opponent has put in a lot of gas,
a lot of minerals into the early game aggression, and the tech is suffered.
Yeah, and this is kind of a variant of a build that I see Naniwa do a little bit, so you can tell that Nony just wanted to be a little bit more safe but pressure at the same time. He did kill off 4 SUVs, but at the same time, the big thing is that Ryung actually delayed his factor. He went for a really fast engineering bait to get +1. And normally we see, Terrans go for medevacs really quickly, so that at the 10-minute mark they can have, good control of the map. But Ryung actually went for that upgrade, and Greets, I know you love it when you see Terrans go for early upgrades against Protoss.
Yes. I think it's so important to have relevant upgrades when you're going up against Protoss. If you're ahead, that's great. Doesn't necessarily mean you have the win, but it gives you a lot more timings, in my opinion. Until, of course, both players get that 3-3 chrono boost actually starts to kick in. You're able to equalize the upgrades if you're Protoss. Now, the medevacs will still come out at a good time. He's actually geared up to have +1 as soon as the medevacs are out. So that's actually really good for the drops. The drops have the ability to do a lot more damage a lot quicker. So we'll see how Nony actually goes about this. I like where he's going. He's getting Blink right now. The robotics facility a little bit off, I think. He's just trying to play it a little bit safer, but I think if you've done all of this aggression, you've put in a lot to try to do early damage. You haven't been successful, so cut a couple of corners. Don't go to this robo facility. Get more gateways out and try to get a third, because you need to catch up somehow.
Yeah, but at the same time, Nony doesn't like taking risks, and so he wants to know what Terran's up to. Technically, he hasn't even really scouted anything besides the initial barracks and the bunkers, so he wants to be extremely sure of what he does. And look at it, he's going for a robotics bay and getting Blink, so he's going to go for a standard composition with Colossus. At least that's what he's gearing up towards. But one thing he has to be really cautious of is falling, again, behind in upgrades. We see that Terran is getting pretty much ahead at this point in supply, 98 to 77, and that's because, again, that a lot of gas or a lot of time was invested into that early pressure, which didn't yield that much results. Just
to let you know, the correct thing to do for the Terran is to just sit back and relax. He should do a little bit of pressure here, that is correct, but no major engagement should happen. The main reason for that is no upgrades have been started for Nony. Now, does Ryung actually know about that? He doesn't have indication. He doesn't see the robotics facility, doesn't see the Twilight Council. But as soon as he notices that there are no forged out on the field, he should just say, whoa, let's step back. Let's go ahead and defend. I know my opponent isn't going towards that endgame stage. I'll get my upgrades, and I'll play the macro game.
One Marine does run up the ramp to see Stalkers and Sentries. And Nony also has Stalkers on the higher ground to prevent any kind of elevator play. You were saying that you felt Ryung should start turning back now. The first Colossus is about to pop, so the effectiveness of this push is decreasing for every second that comes out. The Colossus finally arriving as well. Nony's actually pushing forward. Keep in mind, he can also blink from the low ground if he wants to get the good surround. The factory doesn't really see anything as well. So Ryung, what is he going to do in this position? Looks like he's finally starting to head back.
Yes, he should head back. Throw down about 3 bunkers. He knows exactly what his opponent is doing at this point.
Yeah, he's expanding too.
Exactly. And take your expansion. Get, I would say, an additional Stargate, or Starport rather. I've been watching Hasselhoffs this whole time, so I'm calling them Stargates. But get an additional Starport and go from there. Just defend, defend, defend. Because think, if he just waits for his second upgrade, his +2 attack. Think about how that actually changes everything. +2 attack against a +0. +0 Stalker army or ground army from...
those Marauders will chew through them pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly. So just wait it out. No worries.
And Nony has to eventually do something because the third base is finishing, and it's not gonna. It's gonna be pretty soon when Ryung is able to really capitalize on that. Nony is getting 6 gates though, or is it 7? It is 6 gates. And so the way he's gearing up is for a strong 2-base time. The third Colossus is out, and we've seen in the past 3 Colossus push can be devastating if Terran is not prepared. We see the 2 Vikings and +1 air missiles, a very critical upgrade for those Vikings, is in production. But will it be in time?
I'm not sure. Ryung is doing something a little bit off here. He is pushing forward. He should not do that. Take the defensive position. At this point, there are no bunkers up. And let's see the units tab. 5 Vikings out in the field. He has the 6th one coming up right now. He doesn't have any more Vikings out in production. That should be priority number 1. You're going to see. Actually, this is a ton of Stalkers. this is like the Squirtle style, so he'll branch off a couple of his stalkers away, focus down on those Vikings. In the meantime, the other stalkers are just...
Ooh, Nony has to pay attention, taking a huge volley from the Vikings, and he does blink it forward. Does he save the Colossus? He does, 2 HP, and that is one of the luckiest Colossi I have ever seen.
Oh, and this is going to be beautiful. Blinking up into the top. And let's see if he can do enough damage. Now it'll force all of his opponent's units out of position, but the Colossus need to back up ASAP.
He saves it again with 2 HP once again, and a lot of Vikings. And the rest of the units are split off now. Nony has to be very, very cautious. He doesn't have his sentries. They're on the low ground, and looks like we see the Vikings pushing out here, trying to see if they pick up that one Colossus. It does. The second one, will it drop? Oh my goodness, this is absurd.
Oh, this Colossus is a hero Colossus. However, time is not in favor of Nony, so he has to keep attacking right here. And the problem is he doesn't have any more incoming Colossus. He didn't make any more because he was just expecting to keep those Colossus alive as long as possible. That's a big problem because the Viking count will always increase. Let's look at the units tab. 5 Vikings yet again. You know, I think Nony, if he targeted down that starport, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But look at the upgrades now, 2-2 against 1-0. Let me tell you how this ends. Not well.
And now that Ryung saw that many stalkers, he knows to really lean towards Marauders in terms of that direction. Charge is also on the way, as well as Templar Archives, but there is a good 3-minute window before Protoss can really do anything. And Ryung, how are you going to capitalize on that? He was supply blocked. That was pretty much the good thing about what Nony did. He killed like 4 supply depots. And he did kill off some SCVs as well. You can see 11 has been killed thus far in the game. Regardless, you know, Nony's been doing a good job keeping relatively up in the worker count. And he's just going to have to play passive from this point on. He can't really do any other movements, otherwise risk getting overrun.
Just take the defensive position. Try to upgrade Storm. I think Storm... Oh, no. And Liquid Nony. He's
this would be a terrible position to disconnect.
I actually don't know. Well, I'll reserve judgment.
Actually, we'll find out. We have 40 seconds. What could we do in 40 seconds?
Honestly, Nony's back.
Thank goodness.
That
could have been pretty bad.
If that did happen, I would say Ryung has a gigantic advantage, honestly.
Yeah, the upgrades and the fact that he's had his third base much longer. Ryung is also trying to expand or prepare and expand. I was going to say predict and expand. He's preparing and expand also. And, you know, center control is very big, especially on Antigua shipyards. Especially for this matchup. It sets up your positioning very cleverly. And, you know, Nony doesn't exactly know where Terran's army is. Oh, he's flying his observer straight into the Viking army. Now, if Nony can protect this Colossus, anything can happen. We've seen a lot of supply evaporate off the map before. But, you know, is Ryung going to get the good position?
There could be a composition win for sure, but it'll be quite difficult. Now you can see the Blink Stalkers need to start targeting down on those Vikings, but no, they get evaporated. Those Colossus, oh my god, and now these Marines and Marauders are going unopposed. Nony cannot do a single thing. There's finally the charge in, but my god, the upgrade advantage is just so severe. That's going to be it. Nony will not be able to play forward. GG gets called out.
Yeah.
And Ryung, he will take it.
Yeah, that was quite a slip up there as he tried to blink. You can see what he was trying to do. He was trying to blink and take out the Vikings, or at least protect it. But Ryung had a good upgrade advantage, macro advantage, and positional advantage. As you saw, the Zealots were not really able to engage until it was too late. No Colossi remained.
I think Nony could have continued on with that one push. Also, one thing when you're doing that Blink plus Colossus, it's really actually important to get a Warp Prism as well. Normally, you just stop completely getting Colossus, and it's just 6-gate pressure directly after that. Protect your Colossus at all costs, but I think just... you know, it's what, 200 minerals, which is 2 Zealots in theory. Just let that go, and for that you get a pylon anywhere on the field. It's really important to get that, and then you can play on. If you also snipe the starport and maybe the engineering base, much different game. I think Nony would have won from there, but how it turned out, Ryung took the first game.
We'll see if Nony can come back into this series. Thank you so much to the sponsor of that game, GameMinder. the smartphone app that allows you to, or that reminds you about upcoming game demos and NASL broadcasts. Thank you so much for them sponsoring NASL Season 3. We'll be back. Let's find out if Nony can come back in the series or Ryung push him down and take the 2-0 victory. Find out after this commercial.